Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with What's a Rolfie, Unky, Fireman 1231, JDB Cubed, and Fireman Freddy. Let's get to the show. Welcome back to the Cool Fireman Podcast. Here we are. We're back. We got Unky, we got Matt, Freddy with a nice 7-day vacation beard. Just got back into town. Unky's got himself a twin beard. Look at that neck beard.
Dude, that thing's dry. I love that.
He's killing it. We are back with another episode. I know Matt and Doug were talking about maybe we're going to take a break, but I'm going to be honest with you. We love you guys, and we really can't stay away from each other. We love sitting here talking and bullshitting with you guys. So here we are, another episode. We might take a break after this one. I don't know. Stay tuned. Who knows? We're really flying by the seat of our pants here. Let's be serious. As always, we're going to start this episode out with a moment of silence. And this one is especially special. This is going out to a coworker of Doug's on our podcast. He actually was an avid listener of our podcast, and we answered the very first question we ever answered was from him. He submitted a question and we answered it. His name is Jason Ware, Captain, Chesterfield Fire and Rescue, 20-year veteran, stand-up guy. I've been seeing a lot of tributes to him. He is going to be missed by a lot of people, and he is a brother to us all, and our hearts go out to his family, his friends, his brothers and sisters. So a quick moment of silence for Captain Jason Ware and anyone else that we may have lost in the last week. Rest easy, brother. We have the watch.
Man, I don't mean not to bring down like the feeling here on the podcast right away, but I mean, this is like a super rough week when Doug texted us early in the morning that Jason had perished. And I think I don't know all the specifics, just from what Doug was saying, was that he got in some sort of car accident on the way to work.
V8.
Yeah. And so unbelievably horrible, just a nice, humble human being that we lost. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just, we had talked about it. Doug and I had talked about it last podcast there was 3 CAL FIRE guys that were in a helicopter that clipped another helicopter, the snorkel. I don't know all the details there either, but they're laying them to rest here in the next week and a half or so. It's just like, oh my goodness, like what is going on here? You know, it's just so sad. So that moment of silence means a lot to us always, but I would say, you know, it's definitely hard. It's a tough week for people that are close to us, especially Doug. You know, so, and Kenny too. You know, Kenny Mitchell. I looked at his, and he's the Operation Yellow Tape guy that came out, Lieutenant Kenny Mitchell, and he talked about it on his social media. I don't know if you guys read his post. But holy moly, did I have a friggin' tear rolling down my cheek on that one about him speaking to Jason the night prior, I believe. And so our hearts seriously go out. And, you know, it's crazy. We do this, I think I can speak for the 3 of us, is the community that we have built and been able to become a part of because of social media. You know, a lot of people think about TikTok, and it's funny, the guys I work with, oh, TikTok, this, China, that, whatever. But man, like from what I've gained, from what I've lost is so much, the significance of the gain has just been so rad. And I love you guys. And I know it's been a tough week for Doug and for Kenny and for that entire department and all those loved ones. So sorry to extend that little moment of silence, but I wanted to say that because we truly believe, we truly just our thoughts and prayers and every, blessings are all with all those people that are affected. So it's crazy.
If it seems to be overwhelming to you, for you right now. If you feel especially affected by this, please reach out to somebody. Operation Yellow Tape is there. Cool Fireman Podcast. Our DMs are always open. Remember, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to not be okay. These things are tragic. You may not have known this person, but it can definitely be something that triggers you. It could trigger parts of your family. All of us have families, whether it's wives, children, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, what have you. Check in on your people. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So pivoting real quick, I was just on vacation this week and happened to be up north of the UP in Canada to a little island called St. Joseph Island. Beautiful up there. It's right on Lake Huron. I've been going there for years. My wife's parents have a nice little cabin up there. Driving past the fire department up there, it's a volunteer department. Guys giving their time and what have you to protect the island. I thought of a great idea. So I posted it on the Cool Fireman Podcast Facebook page and Instagram. And I want to start a trend. We want to see fire departments from across America. When you're driving through, you see one, take 2 seconds, pull over, hands up, do a point, high five one of the guys that's working there. We want to see your pictures. #vacation station. All right. So if you're driving through, you find a fire department, take a picture, tag us in it. We'll share it. We want to see how many vacation stations we can find across America because they're everywhere and people are traveling. And let's see if we can get one tagged that somebody that's listening actually works at. That could be super fun too. So check it out. Check out the post. Like it. If you find your own, tag us in it. #vacation station. So moving on to the topic for today. Kind of goes back to what I just said a little bit. All of us have families. Obviously, wife, kids, moms, dads, uncles, aunts, grandma, grandpa, what have you, niece, nephew. I want to touch on today something that maybe we've talked about before, but we haven't really, dove into. We've just scratched the surface. And that is all three of us are dads of kids. We work in the fire service. Unky being a brand new dad of baby girl twins. We're so happy for him, so proud. Matt and I got some a little bit older kids. I know, Unky, you have a stepson too who's a little bit older, right? Yep.
Yeah, he's 11.
What I want to kind of throw out there and talk about is the conversations about the job that maybe you have with your children. How do you tell them what you do? What do you do if you've run a horrible call? I'm going to kind of just chat for a little bit and it'll be organic. But there are times when my son was first born and we would possibly run calls on kids or what have you. And I'm going to tell you right now, pediatric calls suck in general. In general, they suck. They're scary, what have you. It's an innocent kid. Once you have a kid, pediatric calls suck even more. Like, I know that there's been a couple of calls that I've looked down and I've been like, holy crap, this kid's the same age as my son. This kid's the same age as my daughter. What if, whatever. There's been calls that I've gotten off the call. I've been at the hospital. We're getting ready to clear up. I'll call Emily and I'll say, hey, can I just tell the kids I love them real quick? And, hi, Daddy. How you doing? And they're super happy to talk to you, whatever. And I'll be honest with you, it really melts your heart, makes you feel better. Unfortunately, we see a lot of crap that the public shouldn't see. Let's just be honest with you. Shouldn't see. But
and unfortunately, with your level of skills, you have, I hate to put it on your shoulders, but you have a little more responsibility, a little bit more know-how being a paramedic compared to me. I'm a Band-Aid guy. So if something significant happens, it's already beyond my control and it's placed in the ALS provider's hands.
How does that make you feel, though? Like, does that make you feel more helpless? Being, like you said, a Band-Aid? Like, God, I wish I could do more. Do you ever feel that way, or?
Sometimes, but luckily I've never been put in that predicament. We've always been pretty good about keeping ALS near us or around us on the military base, let alone we have our gates open and the cities come in, and the cities have ALS providers on all their engines and apparatus. So we know, one's 5 minutes away. However we call it, it's 5 minutes away. I know seconds count, but we usually have ours on base, and I know all of my ALS providers, so I know what they do like and don't like. So I just make sure you ALS guys have the tools that you need. This is set up, that's set up, and it's in your reach. And, all you guys have different personalities when it comes to stuff in the back of the ambulance. So I've always been like a support technician guy, always there to back y'all up. Well, it does kind of sometimes feel helpless, but I don't know, kind of distract myself by supplying y'all with everything you need and kind of anticipating y'all's orders.
I think it's interesting that you brought it up like that, Freddie, because when I'm on the job and I'm on a horrific whatever kind of call, I mean, I look at all of us as team members, as, like we're all in this together, whether I'm ALS or BLS, it doesn't matter to me. We are all affected by this pretty much the same as, unless like somebody's taking it a little bit different than somebody else, which is obviously, that could happen. But we have EMTs on our ambulances, and they show up and they're just as much as a partner to me as my ALS partner is.
Absolutely. And I'm not trying to diminish.
Not at all. And
at all.
What I was going to say next.
Clarify myself. Sorry.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say next was like, that's an interesting way that you bring that up, because I didn't really think about that maybe a BLS provider's like, man, I wanted to do more, but I didn't know what the dose was. I didn't know what the correct box was to grab out of the med box, or, you know what I mean? Like, I could have done more, but I didn't have the capability. That makes total sense. That makes total sense. I never thought about that.
You could have the career basic. It's a guy who's 30 years. He's worked with paramedics for 30 years, probably knows a lot of the doses better than you, because he's, there listening, doing or whatever. And, what happens if he's first on scene and it's like, well, crap, I know that this is 0.3 of epinephrine for this, for this anaphylactic bee sting or what have you. Mm-hmm. I don't have it or what have you. So, I'll be honest with you, there are a lot of basics that I have worked with in my, 2006, what is that, 17 years, that will put some paramedics to shame, because you've heard the story, paragods, you get that paramedic license, the ink is still wet, and all of a sudden you think, oh, I do the same thing as doctors, only at 60 miles an hour. No, you don't. No, you don't.
And those guys that think that, their first significant call, they usually lose that person, but it's usually something that a doctor couldn't fix. And I see it humble pretty quickly.
Yeah. And
now, paramedics have a very significant part in that chain of survival, and I am very proud to be a paramedic. I love chain of survival.
Look at you, American Heart Association chain of survival.
Hey, I'm an instructor. I got to throw those buzzwords out there. I'm very proud to be a paramedic. That's why I renew it. Well, I also renew it because it's part of my job. I could lose my job. But I tell you, it's a very serious part of my job that I enjoy. But some of the best paramedicine, I'm going to tell you right now, starts at the basic level. When you walk in to somebody who's having difficulty breathing and you all of a sudden want to do all this other stuff, stop. Well, why are you having trouble breathing? Well, I'm allergic to cats. Okay, well, there's 42 cats in this house. Let's go outside real quick. Or, 5 of your family members are smoking like chimneys. Let's step outside. Oh, all of a sudden you can breathe better? It's because it's not secondhand smoke anymore. You got like negative firsthand smoke because they smoke so much.
Yeah.
So
You're one of those guys. BLS happens before ALS.
That's what I was going to say, too. It's very true. It is. That's BLS before ALS all day long. You walk in, there's a guy, it's girl, whatever, white as a ghost, and you're sitting there talking to them, trying to figure out their orientation level. It's like, hey, why don't we lay them down? Because I bet you their blood pressure is a little low. It's like,
head back, feet up. All of a sudden, they can answer all your questions. It's the weirdest thing.
What's that weird?
I always hate that saying because people that always said it, they're the ones that are in the back of the crowd. At my base, we do pit crew, not on purpose. Everybody gets involved, and everybody just takes a little bit of the, one works the punch or we just automatically do that.
Those are the best scenes.
Not much goes on, so everybody's trying to get a little piece of the pie. But then we'll have an ALS provider that's not assigned to our base. And he's the guy that goes, BLS helps for ALS. And where is he at? He's away from the crowd, not paying attention. I don't expect you to be the lead of the patient, but I need you to be listening. So if I miss a question, you can ask the ALS question, or you can say, hey, guys, don't go that route on medicine. Go this way. I see that this guy's having this problem. We need to start focusing on that. That's fine. You don't have to be the number one guy, but I need you to, as we have a big problem with, not a problem. We always say because our paramedics and our captains are the same grade in the government. So it's not really about your title. It's about your grade. Well, they're equals. So it's always been put down as captain's in charge of the scene, paramedics in charge of the patient. So you're in charge of what is going on medically. Captain's just make sure everybody's safe and he gets equipment coming to you that you need. Anyways, I digress.
No, I think what you're talking about the same grade. Now, a paramedic might be the same grade as a captain, but two different roles. I mean, a captain's there to look, the entire scene and what's going on and kind of orchestrate. But paramedics, obviously have their orchestration, if that's a word, orchestration.
Sure.
They orchestrate themselves, on a different level. But anyway, I think bottom line,
ALS guys just needs to be listening and orchestrating the crews into the direction that he medically knows what the school for needs to go.
And when it comes down to, like, I've heard a great thing a long time ago, a pair of medics, not paramedics, but pair of medics. We all work as a team for a common goal, for patient care, and that's it. That's the bottom line of it. I was going to go somewhere with it. I totally forgot.
You were probably going to try and circle us back to what we originally started.
That's what I was going to try to do, and you just reminded me. But so yes, to like circle back, as you were talking, Fred, as you were talking about it, I can't remember a post-incident stress debriefing session that I've done that didn't include a child call. I'm like sitting here, and I probably have. I haven't done that many in my career. I started running calls in 2005. So however many years, 18 years ago, I started running calls, and I've done a few post-incident stress debriefs. In fact, I did one just recently that had to do with a child. It was one of those ones where, hey, he's sick. I'm not going to go through all the details of the call. He looked very sick. So we put the pedal to the metal and we started an IV on the kid, gave him some fluids. He got to the hospital just fine. Well, we went to the same hospital a couple hours later, and it was one of our big hospitals that's a trauma center. So we go there, we talked to the trauma nurse. We said, hey, by the way, this other call had wrapped up. We said, how's the kid doing? And she, for whatever reason, had zero filter, and she looked at us, and right away she said, he didn't make it. He died. And we went, wait, what? What do you mean he died? Like he came here, we started an IV, gave him fluids, and she's like, no, he passed away. Like about 30 minutes into him getting to the PICU. And we said, that's not true, you know? But anyways, come to find out the kid had some complications with some stuff and he ended up passing away. So we had a post-incident stress debrief about that. But I could think back through the years that a lot of my stress debriefings have all entailed kid calls. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, so coming back to how do we talk to our kids, or, I mean, you could go through a whole array of, types of questions like how do we raise our kids with us being at work so much. There's a lot of professions out there. Obviously, this is the Cool Fireman podcast. So we're sitting here all firemen, and we're not here to degrade anybody. And I thought it was really funny. And I keep going back to this because I freaking love those women on the Dear Chief podcast. But they said, hey, we're not here to put down civilians. Like, I think that's the freaking most hilarious thing ever, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, because we could sit here and we could say like, oh, civilians, they don't have that hard of life, but we're not here to put them down or anything. But it's just a different job. It's a different mentality. It's a different culture. It's just so many things, So.
You trying to dig yourself out of that hole that you created on that podcast?
Dude. Yeah. So yeah.
Dig yourself out.
Dude, did you like my disclaimer before I sent that? Yeah, dude, I felt so bad. I'm like, dude, I don't know what made me think that I was going to come at him so hard at the beginning. And then I'm like, man, these guys, these ladies probably think I'm the biggest dick,
Womanizer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm so misogynist. You know me. Yeah, I'm very sexist. No, I'm not. But I came at him like I was, But here I am. I'm still digging. Thanks, Unky. You did that on purpose. Thank you. But no, those ladies are great. And it's funny because my text message to them said, and I meant it 100%, our wives don't get recognition at all. We drive down the street and everybody loves firemen because of the people before us, because of the firemen before us created this culture for us to come into where everybody invites us into their house without even asking questions of who we are, just because we wear the badge. Police officers, not the same. Lifeguards, not even the same. I deal with lifeguards, working at the beach, and it's not the same necessarily as a fireman. It really isn't. But the women, man, they don't get any of that recognition. They are at home raising the kids and working their asses off.
And they may have to come up with those stories.
What's that?
They may have to come up with, maybe not stories isn't the right word, but they have to come up with those explanations. If you get an emergency callback, you got a fire in whatever municipality or whatever you work in. I know all of us kind of have a little bit different of a scenario, but you got a fire and, hey, they're calling for 4 firefighters, callback for backfill, or they need them at the scene. Hey, babe, I got to go. They're calling. And I am somebody, when I worked at my first department, I was 32 miles away. My department I'm on now, I'm 19 miles away. So it's a little bit easier, but in my mind, I do not miss a callback unless it is something serious, because if they're doing a callback, that means they need help. And I can't, in my own shoes, in my own skin, sit on my couch and watch TV when the people that I work with, that I'm trusting with my life at some point in the future, I can't sit there and be like, yeah, they'll be fine. They've got somebody else will pick up that overtime. I go in every single time I'm available. If I'm 2.5 hours away on vacation, completely different story. I don't, I'm not going to abandon my family on vacation. Yeah. If I'm home and I'm able, I'm in. And a lot of times I call dispatch, hey, it's Freddie. I'm on the way in. I'll be there 20 minutes. Just let the IC know. Oh, okay. And when I'm usually 5 minutes out, I'll call dispatch. Hey, am I going to the scene? Like, where am I going? Oh, they need backfill. Okay, perfect. Go put my stuff on a truck, get ready to run calls. When the call is over, I'll help them break down. That's how I was raised in the fire service. Coming up through the captains and the older guys that I worked with was to be that way. And so that's what I try and pass on to the younger guys with me is you can spare 4 hours to come and help a brother or a sister out.
Yeah.
But those callbacks, sorry, Uncle, you look like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Well, how do you get back where we're going was how do your kids deal with that, knowing because I know you're near Detroit, for example, for a big city, stuff like that. The incident's on the news, and you're watching it, and all of a sudden you like, I got to go to that. You know, your kid's watching you watch that, watching it with you, and he turns and goes, "You got to go to that." You know, you ever had an incident before?
So
I had as a kid.
I'm an open book. I have no shame. I go to counseling myself. Excuse me. I go to counseling. My wife goes to counseling. We go to counseling together. My son goes to counseling off and on. He went to counseling as a younger kid because and the best part is when I told you guys about this before we started recording, you both chuckled, and I know we're gonna have some people who are listening back. They're gonna start chuckling. My son used to sneak episodes of Chicago Fire. Cues of laughing. It's a comedy. It's a comedy to other firefighters because we'll sit there and be like, "Wow, that house has this many tragedies and this many fires and this many's. I've never seen that out of one house. 51." But he used to sneak episodes of it because he wanted to see what Daddy did. He was 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever years old. And it got to the point, though, where he was like almost having panic attacks and stuff when I would take callbacks for a fire, because he would watch the show. He would see on the show that these people would go into a house, fire all around. Maybe the floor's falling. Maybe there's explosions with fire. The ceiling collapses. Somebody falls off a roof or whatever. And in his mind, in his young mind, and that's fine. We can take some hit on it because we ended up curtailing it. But yeah, we didn't know he was sneaking it. But he thought that was what I was going to. I was going into a huge inferno that could possibly, something like that. And it was affecting him for sleep. When I was taking call-ins, he wouldn't sleep the entire night, my wife was telling me. In school the next day, he was off. The teachers were noticing stuff. So we got him into a therapist, into a counselor to kind of help work with that. We, told him, let's not watch that anymore. If you are interested in it, then let's talk to Daddy. You can watch a show together or something like that. And then we, a lot of times, Emily would send an email right as I'm leaving the house to the teacher. Hey, this is Emily. Parker's dad took a call in tonight with a fire. Just, can you please keep an eye out because he might be affected by it. He might be upset in school the next day. And we were able to kind of control a little bit. And we sat down and had some real honest conversations like, hey, bud, those fires really don't happen where Daddy works. Is there a possibility that the fire can get that big? Absolutely. But he works in a small town. They're on scene quick. The fires never really get that big. By the time Daddy gets there, he's really helping just clean up hose and stuff. And without lying to him, we try and just kind of soften the blow. And my daughter, it affected her a little bit. But my son had matured enough as a first responder kid that he was able to step in as the counselor with my wife and be like, hey, sissy, do you want to come snuggle me in my bed? Like, Daddy's okay. Get your stuffed animal. We'll talk about it. And he's so good. He's so good with his sister about that. And it's been a blessing lately that they haven't been upset too much.
Yeah. I mean, I could probably say I'm actually learning something just here, sitting here listening to you, Fred. To be honest with you, I would sit here, and if I answered that question before I even heard what you said, I'd say my kids had no clue. I'd say, hey, I understand how freaking smart kids are and how they're always listening. they're always paying attention to what we're doing, even though they might be in another room. They're crazy like that. They're sponges. They are always curious. They always want to know what's going on. But if I had to answer that question, hey, well, what was your, what do your kids think you do at work? They think that I go to the firehouse and I'm not at home. They know that I run medical aids. They know that I help people that are sick and injured. But man, that's an interesting, it's an interesting conundrum. I don't know if they understand like the gravity of a fire. I mean, they've seen wildland fires. I live in California, for God's sakes. And so they've seen that on the news, Fire Watch 2023, but I don't know how they feel about that. That's a really good point. So I would think, or anybody that's listening, including myself, to kind of dive into that with your kids and kind of, beat around the bush, try to see, where their head's at with it, because that's a very good point. That's a very good point. And the fact that you brought him and you guys are doing counseling and stuff, I think that's amazing, so that's kudos to you guys for getting ahead of that. And that's interesting that he watches Chicago Fire to see what dad's doing at work. I mean, that's freaking smart, dude. Kids are smart. Hey, this is a fire department job. Like, I mean, why is it sitting to the room my dad does? So that's stinking cool, dude. That's freaking cool.
Don't watch burn.
Unky.
That's a close time.
Yeah.
Is that the Detroit?
It's a Detroit, and then Burn X is 10 years later.
I'm really gonna see that one.
Unky, how do you plan to introduce it to the girls? I mean, I know they're a couple months old now or what have you, but how did you do it with your stepson?
He's very mature for his age. He'll just ask questions, and I always see him as my little buddy. So if he's got questions, I answer it the best I can for age appropriate. But I kind of, if he's got questions, I kind of went in some details. But
no, do you
like
you have a tag team partner with your brother Ryan, right? Because he's with the city, and he sees a little bit different
yes
than you. So has he quizzed Uncle Ryan at all, or
no? He just, I don't know. He doesn't really ask like too many questions. He'll ask me like how my day was, and it was like an interesting call. I'll tell him about it, lightly. Maybe he starts, poking and prodding. I'll go a little bit more details, but I try to keep, any gory stuff out. Luckily we haven't had any in a while. But I can speak as a fire kid. When I was a kid, we had two significant line of duty deaths when I was a child. One was at the base I work at now. I was a captain opposite of my father in the 80s. Grew up with his daughter. We went to school years, but his tragedy, his loss, is taught in nursing school around the world. Guys around the world come to our area too, and they always tell about his scenario. My father was called in that day when he perished, and he was called. And my mom answered the phone and said, "Hey, we need Royce to come to work." So he's like, "All right." Cutting grass, came in, took a shower, went to work. Mom, nothing to it. There's something going on, whatever. Maybe guy went home sick. Well, our neighbor, she was married to a paramedic from the city. So she got a phone call. And my mom was busy with dealing with me and my brother. And they started getting on the news. And the city dispatcher knows my family. We're a real tight community in the city of Chesapeake, and they start calling around, asking, "Hey, is people are calling the house? Like, is your voice tough?" She's like, "No." "Oh, okay then." And they would just hang up. They thought it was my dad that perished, and she had no idea what was going on. She's trying to do her best to shield me and my brother and my neighbor's kid. So they kind of sent us outside to play to kind of deal with it. And eventually the city dispatcher called over to the federal government dispatcher and got a line of sight on my father. And he was sitting on the back of the engine. And my dad's like, I didn't know for several hours what had happened. We're sitting around for hours. And we had that. I think I was really young for that. Then when I was about middle school, we had the infamous Advanced Auto Part Fire, 1996, where City of Chesapeake lost 2 firefighters. It was kind of dealing and processing with that. I can't quite remember exactly, but I remember it being all over the news and knowing that my father was a firefighter. But I kind of remember my mom. I'm a mama's boy. Mom, like, no, that's different, and she kind of broke it all down. Take me off the edge, or you guess you're saying. Besides that, those 2 incidents, as a child, I mean, it was fairly, I didn't freak out as much, I guess you'd say. Nothing against, you're good.
I think this is something that I would definitely, in the moment, have to discuss with Emily. But how would you guys feel about, taking your son or daughter to a firefighter funeral? Obviously, not your own, but like, how would you? I'm kind of torn because, I would want my kids to see the pomp and circumstance, the respect, the tribute that a fallen firefighter gets at a firefighter funeral. But at the same time, as a dad, as a protector of your household, you want to shield them from any harm, any pain, any anguish. I don't know. I think I would at the very least want my son to see, and I'm honor guard trained, so I offer my services anytime I can to a department should they need it. I've been lucky enough that I've only had to offer twice, but I don't know. A firefighter funeral is a very hallowed experience and very sombering. I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you?
Go ahead, Matt.
Heavy. Gee, man, I feel like I'm wearing like a 100-pound weight vest right now. Dude, I don't know. I couldn't even answer that. I think that it would be circumstantial. If we lost somebody within my fire department, we're so small. My kids know a lot of people that I work with. We go on camping trips together, and so that would be, if I lost somebody that I worked with, I don't know. I'd have to make that decision then. I couldn't even right now on the spot. That's a very that's an interesting question. It's a loaded question. But again,
For sure.
I think it's circumstantial. I think it depends on who it is. Do I think my kids need to go to funerals outside of their family members when they're young? I don't think so. I don't necessarily think so. I don't know. I haven't had to go to too many, to be honest with you. They were at the memorial for my grandmother within the last few years, but other than that, it's they just I don't know. It's a good question. It's a very good question.
Oh, well, again, it's simple. No, I've been in plenty of firefighters' funerals. Unless they're close to me, I don't go. I don't personally go. Me and another guy, City of Virginia Beach, lost a great captain to cancer not long ago, just like a month or two. And we were going to sing fire trucks to the funeral. And we were slated, like, we may go to the funeral, we may just go back to the city. Me and the other guy, to be honest, we threw a fit. We're like, we're not going to the funeral. We're like, well, you're going to go be safe. We're not coming off that truck. Like, you will? No, we won't. That's like, we can't handle it. We've been in, he's previous military. He did time in the sandbox, lost a lot of his friends and went to their funerals. I've done firefighter funerals here locally. No, I won't take him. If he asks to go, that's one thing. I would probably tough it up and go. Now if it's like God forbid, my brother, he had cancer. That's, it's kind of different. That's family, if he,
Right.
yeah, it's one of those things like if he needs to be there, he will be there, or my children will be there. But just like, I don't know, another city lost somebody. I didn't know. One of my good friends, Lieutenant Mark Schultz, as a young kid in the fire department, federal government, my buddy, man, we were best friends. I still have never been to his gravesite. He's been dead for over 10 years, and I'm still talking to his wife. And I had to apologize. And the time I was going to go, nope, got his name on the IFF Wall of Honor out in Colorado. But the year we did it, it was COVID. We're shut down. I was going to go do that. So that's kind of the way I made up. I didn't go to his funeral. I never been in his gravesite. And me and we're just the tightest of buddies at work. And I just couldn't do it. And so, because I've seen enough funerals in general, let alone firefighter funerals, man, because they're very pomp and circumstance, and big ta-da, big put-ons, and it's hard, man. It's hard, especially if y'all do the last call on the radio.
That's hard. That's hard.
End of watch.
I've been
he's too sensitive.
I've been to 5 or 6 that I didn't know the person. Toledo lost 3 firefighters in an apartment fire. I drove down for that one with Emily, actually. City by me, Westland, Brian Wolke, he passed away in a furniture warehouse fire. Dennis Rodman in Lansing, he was, I don't know if you guys remember this, he was out collecting for MDA for Fill the Boot, and he asked a guy for money. Dude told him, buzz off. And he's like, hey man, just collecting money in a boot. Dude's like, I told you, get away from my truck or whatever. Dude ended up going down, turning around, coming back and running him down in Lansing. Went to that funeral. I don't know, for myself, and it's not I don't know, in my mind, and it might be the same reason that I take the callbacks, is I go to those funerals because I would hope that somebody would be there for mine as a showing for my family, to have that turnout that we are all brothers, and even if I didn't know you, I'd be there for you and for your family. I don't know if it makes it harder, or if it softens the blow a little bit for the family to see thousands of firefighters in their Class A's standing at attention, snapping a salute off. But in my mind, in my heart, makes me feel like I'm doing that person a solid, supporting them.
Yeah, showing respect. Absolutely.
I'm not emotionally stable enough, kind of do it.
And everybody's different, though. Everybody's different. Yeah.
Yeah. I never disrespect to anybody, but somebody in our little podcast group, or the friends that we have made, really, especially us 5, something unfortunately had to y'all. I'm headed out to y'all, because like I said, y'all family.
100%.
That's a little different than somebody on the other ship that I kind of, I know of, or occasional passing. We have a connection. I can't emotionally. I would toughen it out for you guys. I'd be a mess.
All right, let's get away from funerals and dead people. Okay.
So this has been an up and down episode for sure.
Right. Hey. Okay. So one last thing.
Y'all gonna make me drink again?
Don't.
One last thing. Let's bring this up. That it's like how raising our kids as firefighters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like what you say, how you say it to them. And I was on TikTok one time flipping through just like everybody else is for hours and hours and hours. And this lady came up and she's like, I'm married to a fireman, and it sucks because everything that I do on his days off, it just gets ruined by when he goes to work, because the guys he works with are always right. And he always comes home thinking all these conspiracy theories, the world is flat and all this kind of shit. And dude, I thought that was the funniest thing. because I'm thinking about the guys that I work with, and they throw on like Tucker Carlson, and they're like, did you see this Raytheon in the South Pole, and the world is flat and it's just surrounded by ice, and they won't let us past it. They won't let us past it.
And I was joking.
You fall off.
I always joke when somebody says something outlandish at the station. I'm like, did Joe Rogan tell you that?
Yeah, right. Exactly. We go to work and we hear all these crazy things. And I've told you guys this a million times before, so I'll keep it short. But one thing I didn't realize when I was off for 6.5 months was that fire engine cab therapy of just bullshitting with the guys. It's amazing, but it does, like, the culture of being in the fire service. And I've also said this before a million times, same clouds, different circus. It's like we all have that same culture, that same mindset that, like, hey, we always want to help. We talked about this a million times. We always want to help. If somebody's doing something, hey, what can I do? What can I do? Nothing. Just sit your ass down. Like, I don't need your help. Relax. And so it's just like, how does that bleed into your kids? And like, I've been on the phone with my kids or my wife at work, and I've also been at home and been cognizant of the fact that what I'm saying at the dinner table, or the stories I say, or the ways that I'm trying to impart wisdom on my children, is it the right way to do it? Because I feel like some of the stuff that we think or feel can be sort of crass, and it can be
100%.
a little more than what kids need. You know what I mean? And I try. And guys, and you guys are the only ones on this podcast right now, but everybody that's listening, I try my best. I really do. I try my best. We all do. You know what I mean? And it's, yeah, right. And it's not just firemen, to be honest. And I'm going to go back to that again. Yeah, it's not just firemen. There are guys out there that are strong-minded individuals, like, and this is going to sound so horrible, but like, I hate stupid. I just hate when people just do stupid things. Like, I just, and we see it a lot at work. So it kind of like, numbs us to certain things, like, you called 911 for what? And that's a joke, that's been around the internet for years. And it's like, firemen, you called the fireman out for what? Like, you couldn't figure out how to turn your water off, or whatever it was, right? Which is all great, because that's what we're there for.
And Patton made a whole social media platform based on that.
Sure, exactly.
Fire Department Chronicles.
Yeah, but we're talking about our kids on this podcast, where we've kind of gone up and down and all around about it. But that's the underlying rhythm here, right? Is we're talking about our kids, and it's like, how much of that do I say, like, there's people out there that don't know how to do this, right? Do I say it like that? Or do I say, hey, son, here's how you turn off the water if you have a leak. Here's how you put out a fire. Here's how you start a fire. Here's how you cook food. It's not, hey,
you got to put the civilian filter on. When you come, you got to put the civilian filter.
I fail at that. I do. And I tell my son all the time, like, and he's like, he'll give me a look. I'll look at him. I'm like, hey, man, the real world is not gumdrops and lollipops. I said, you're going to get people who talk a lot worse. You're going to get people who talk a lot nicer. I said, I love you to the moon and back. I love you very much. I said, and I will be hard on you when I need to be hard on you, and I will be easy on you when I need to be easy on you. I said, but there's 10 piles of clothes in your bedroom right now, and they're all next to your hamper. Like, when you take off your clothes, just put them in the hamper. Or just because you pulled the shirt out of the drawer and it touched your skin for 8 seconds does not make it dirty. That's not dirty. I'll leave you with this, because everybody out there is doing a great job. I guarantee it. You're doing a great job.
Yes.
And something that I will always remember was when my son was born at the hospital, and my wife and I were very pro breastfeeding. And for whatever reason, it just wasn't working out. And her and I were both like upset about it. Like, oh my gosh, like, this is what we're supposed to do. Like, the nurses were telling us and whatever. And we were like sneaking him bottles, and we felt like guilty that we were feeding our child. And the the internist pediatrician for the hospital came in on day 2 or something like that. He's checking him out. And we're exhausted. Park hasn't been sleeping. He had a little bit of acid reflux, whatever. He's checking him out. We're like, oh God, we're the worst parents. We're the worst. And he's like, nope. Like, he's checking. He's like, looks perfect. Perfect baby boy. You guys are doing a great job. Whatever. We're like, no. We fed him a bottle. We shouldn't have fed him formula. Oh no, we're supposed to do this. And the doctor looked up at us and started laughing. He goes, listen. As long as you don't feed your child pond water, you're doing a great job. Do whatever you can to get by. You're doing a great job. So just remember that. If you're a parent out there and you think you're not doing a great job, as long as you're not feeding your kid pond scum, pond water, you're doing. If you know what, if you have to make a frozen pizza again for the 3rd night in a row because there's so much going on in your house, make the frozen pizza. If you got to stop at Burger King, stop at Burger King. You're doing the best you can. You're doing great. You don't have to have a home-cooked meal every single night.
We can't have salmon every night, Matt.
Especially,
dude, I'm having salmon tonight.
Especially those fire spouses that are out there that are trying to do the best they can while they're firefighters on shift.
They give it up to the firewives, man. Our firewives.
If you're worried about what we're thinking at work, like, oh God, if I feed him McDonald's again, he's going to be pissed. I'm going to let you in a little secret. We don't care. You're doing amazing.
We're feeding them McDonald's too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I saw somebody say, like, some kind of video was, hey, this is my first time being a parent. This is y'all's y'all's first time being parents to 2 kids, 3 kids, or 5 kids, Matt. This is your first time being parents. You're not going to get everything right. Everybody's been a parent one time.
Yeah.
So we're all learning here. Sorry, you got to learn with me and grow with me, kid. As I figure it out, we're going to figure it out.
Good work, boys.
That was good. This was good. We were all over the freaking place. So if you've hung on until now, we appreciate it because
we always are.
We've been everywhere. You really dove into the tangent world of the Cool Fireman podcast brain. Welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. We're not sure what's going to happen. We're going to try and push out episodes for you. We might take a break here. I know I've been speaking with a few people for guests. They'll be coming up in the next few months. We've got Tom from the Burn Box. He's super excited to come on the show. Yeah, Tommy from the Burn Box.
Most likely, we're not going to take time off.
Yeah,
right.
most likely.
It's being blurred out.
We've got the guy who invented something called the handy hook. If you haven't seen him, jump on there.
Hey, we're still going to try to do the MDA event.
We are going to try and do the MDA event. We'll get it.
Yes, we're still trying to do that. So it might be at the end of August, beginning of September now. I don't know. We keep pushing it off. We had a lot going on this summer, but I think we got past the tough part. A lot of, all of us went on vacation. Unky, you had your beautiful baby girls. We thought that we were going to have Nick on this episode. He's not.
It'd be hilarious if he pops in like right now.
I know. That would be amazing. I've been waiting for him the last 5-10 minutes just to pop in.
Yeah. Anyway. We love Nick. He is super busy. He's got a lot going on in his life. We love him.
Yeah. So, but it's shift change. So let's get the heck.
Oh, wait a minute. We love Doug. He's going through a lot right now. If you are friends with him on social media or whatever, reach out to him. Actually, everybody do this for me. Reach out to him and let him know that he has the biggest fire department. Just let him know and just make him feel better.
We love you, Big City Doug.
Big City Doug. Hashtag Big City Doug.
Just start commenting on his post.
Big City Doug.
We love you, Big City Doug.
Let's go.
Oh, you can't do BCD. You can't do BCD. You just can't.
What's BCD?
I don't know. It's open to your imagination. It opens up a world of interpretation.
Oh, everybody find a post of Doug's. This comes out tomorrow, eh?
Yeah. Did you say hey? Like you've been in Canada?
I say hey anyway. But
Oh, you do.
When you listen to this, find a JDB cubed and just say, "We love you, Big City Doug,"
Or just DM him.
or DM him, or do both.
Or do both.
Slide into those DMs.
And tell us how many kilometers you live away from.
I'll try to. I'm gonna try to post a promo for this show for tomorrow as it posts Friday or whatever. So,
Big Bird.
Yeah, if you get this on Friday, you're gonna hear this on Friday. So go to this promo and put.
Today's Thursday.
All right, boys.
See you. Roll it, GG.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out thecoolfireman.com for more. Thanks!